other UN organizations. In 2019, it found that 1 million species face the threat of extinction, underscoring the urgency to act.
Every action we take alters the earth that future generations will inherit.
The world is starting to recognize the effects of planetary warming, but UNEP began sounding the alarm 3 decades ago. As early as 1988, UNEP and the World Meteorological Organization launched the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. For over 30 years, IPCC science has helped member states counter climate change, earning the body a Nobel Prize for its work. UNEP-backed studies have informed some of the planet's most crucial climate accords. These include a 1992 agreement that set a template for curbing greenhouse gas emissions, followed by the Kyoto Protocol and the landmark 2015 Paris Agreement.
I'm proud to announce that 175 parties have signed the Paris Agreement.
UNEP has also mobilized 450 banks, insurers and investors to help create a more sustainable world.
We don't want fossil fuels anymore.
A lot has happened in the last 50 years, but it's the next 10 that will be pivotal for life on this planet.
But in fact, what you and I and other ordinary people around the world can do will not by itself save the natural world. The great decisions, the great disasters that face us can only be dealt with by governments. And that's why this organization is so important.
Over the past 50 years, we've seen when the world decides to act, the world comes together to act. Together with member states and partners, we've achieved a lot. But now is the time to truly make that lift for humanity and to do much more and much faster. And I have every reason to be hopeful. As an organization grounded in science, UNEP will do everything in its power to push for breakthroughs. Our planet and humanity depends on us. Together, we can build a greener and safer and fairer world for all.
So good to be here today. It's fantastic.
All right, good morning, everyone. So good to be live again today. I'm sure we had a great time last week with our facilitators, and today promises to be even better. I've been having a bit of network glitch. That's why my video is not on. You just pardon us for today. So we have started, right? And on behalf of the leadership of United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network, I want to welcome you again to today's session and wish you a fantastic time today. Okay, so yes, very quickly, I want to take feedbacks about what we learned last week. So if you have feedbacks for us, just raise your hand and I'll have you speak. So yeah, and if you don't raise your hand, be sure that I will follow you. I know how to do that. That's what I do best. So please let me hear your feedback from last week's session. Then we can move on from there. Who is raising? And I need to see your hands. Anybody? I'm not seeing any hand, guys. What is going on? Please don't tell me it is, oh, weather. Somebody is saying weather, climate. That should not stop you from raising your hand. So what did you learn last week? That's the question. What exactly did you learn? Let's hear you. What did you learn? The masterclass will start in a bit, but let's get your feedback from last week's session first. What did you learn last week? We're waiting. Okay, let me just hear from Ayeni Oluwasegun. Ayeni Olusegun. You can unmute your mic and speak.
Why did I feel I was going to get called?
Well, you just went to the fault. All right. So let me hear you, Ayeni Oluwasegun.
Hello, good morning. I don't know. I felt I was going to get called.
Definitely.
Okay. So last week we had two incredible speakers who talked about one basically concentrated on kind of like circular economy, sort of. And the other one told us a lot about climate change, basically introducing us to climate change, the effects and how, and all that. So what we learned is from the first speaker, she basically explained how we could be change actors, how we could be innovative and also play a part in, in helping fight climate change and creating sustainable solutions, and how we can sell our environment, like tell our own stories and not having it told for us. And the second speaker, she was more on the kind of like innovative side of things, how to use our resources to become sustainable, and also encourage circular economy. So that's the crux of it for me. you know. That's basically what I picked up. Though not exactly new stuff, but it's good for it to be reiterated also. I think that's it for me. I don't know
Very
if
fantastic.
all right.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Glad you learned that much, and thank you for the contribution. Yeah. So, Unjuk for Emmanuel is raising his hand. Can we hear feedback of what you learned from last session? You can unmute your mic.
Okay, sir. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. In our last master's class, I believe I learned a lot. You know, before when you talk of climate change, I give the responsibility to only federal government. But the last time we had the master's class, we were trained, we were told how we can contribute in our local communities. Like where I am from, the Imbise part of Imo State where I'm from, we have this problem of, we have this flat land, we don't have erosion, but nowadays we are experiencing erosion in our local communities due to the activities of our people. You know, we have what we call ponds, where during the rainy season, that is where the waters go in. We don't have a spoiling of roads. But today, our people, they are closing those ponds digged by our forefathers. That is causing erosion in our roads. During the rainy season, it will be so hard for people to come out due to the erosion, the water lumps everywhere. The water has no other place to go in due to those ponds has been destroyed, and it has contributed in the climate change. Please, I've learned something, and I am planning to carry out a project or a research based on that. So that is what I was able to learn in our last class. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's so good to know that you learned one or two things last week, and they are willing to apply the things that you learned. Thank you for sharing. So who else is willing to share? What did you learn last week? Let's all learn from what you learned. Who else? Okay, Grace. Thank you, Grace, for volunteering to share. Please, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Grace. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I just like what other persons have said, what we learned last masterclass was basically an introduction into what climate change is, the causes of climate change, how we can become actors to ensure that we mitigate the effect of climate change on the environment, the earth, and how to be sustainable at the end of the day. So the aim is for us to ensure that we, to a great extent, fight to ameliorate some of the impacts that we're already feeling, especially high rising temperature as we have it now. The weather is so hot. So how can we ensure that we ameliorate this crisis that are related to climate? And then some of which we have the causes where that was mentioned by the first speaker was more of deforestation, a whole lot of human activities that has left urbanization, that has led to development of industries that are emitting a lot of gas that are not necessarily good for the earth. So it's beginning to hamper on the ozone layer, and then the effect is what we are getting today. So the second speaker for me, she was more of telling us the importance of going green. So green economy for her is the best, the way forward. How can we ensure that we utilize all the natural resources that we have, so such that we don't overuse things that are in the environment, and then some would either go into extinction or some of them would be hampered upon. For instance, she made an instance of someone who turned the raw materials of, is it plantain to fufu or something. So there's always like usefulness in almost everything. So we have to be creative to ensure that we've utilized every substance that we have in the environment, so that we don't totally hamper on them. So of course, recycling is another way of going green, circular economy and all. So that's what I picked from the last class. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Grace, for sharing. I believe people have also learned from what you've shared this morning, and then listen to say thank you for sharing, thank you for paying attention, thank you for listening, thank you for putting your heart to the class, and it's going to benefit you a great deal. Thank you. Okay, let me see the next person. Ahmad. Okay, so Ahmed is raising his hand. Ahmed, you can unmute and speak. Ahmed Idris.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's quite unfortunate that I wasn't able to state that the class ended last week owing to some circumstances. But at least I can still lay hands on some things I learned so far. The first speaker was able to distinguish between the weather and the climate. So, and at the same time, it was said that the major thing that has contributed significantly so far to the climate change is anthropogenic activities. So, and she also talked about ways to eradicate it and ways to ameliorate the weather conditions or the climate change. So, that's all I learned so far. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it. Thank you so much. Hussein wants to say something. You can unmute your mic.
Okay.
Please go ahead, Hussein. You want to say something? Unmute your mic. Yes, you can go ahead and speak.
Did you ask a question?
No. I said you can go ahead and speak. You raised
your
hand. Okay.
Okay. Then she also talked about how we can sustainably manage our resource in such a way that the presence and the past will not be or let me say the use of the current, the use of the present will not compromise its will not compromise the ability to provide for the next generation or the coming generation. So I think that's all I learned.
So I hear you well. What you're saying is that we preserve our environment now, so that we can be able to still have that same environment for future generations.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Here comes, sir.
Anthony, you want to speak? So you can unmute your mic. Let's hear you. Please share what you learned last week.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, but your voice is not loud enough. You can add more volume.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. From our last class, I've learned a lot. Like one of the basic things that the Earth is one of the planets. I mean, the only planet that supports life. Earth is the only planet that supports life, meaning there's no any other planet which you can find living things apart from the Earth. And then that human activity affects the Earth either positively or negatively. And then so because of that, we thought that the Earth is made in a way that it supports life. There are gases in the atmosphere that to absorb heat and the sunlight. Then when these gases are too much, human activities like burning, like combustion, then other things are need.
All right, thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much. So if I hear you well, I am saying we don't have another planet to live. Earth is the only workplace where life can be supported, and we should treat that Earth well. We should treat it well, because if we exit this place, there's no other place that can sustain human life. Awesome. Awesome. I'll just take one last person because our facilitator is around. I'll take one last person and we'll fly from there. Jennifer, let's hear you, Jennifer. You can unmute your mic and speak, Jennifer.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Okay. So far, although I'm a student of the University of the People, my major course is environmental science. So I have an idea about what the program is all about. So from the first phase of the master class, I was able to learn more things like we need to take, the advocacy for environmental protection has been long overdue. So it is time for us to take action in order to preserve the earth. And also, when we come to Nigeria, Nigeria has a lot of drainage system faults. We need to also look into that. We build houses on drainage wells. Those are, if floods come, there's no way where the flood can go pass easily. Then when it comes to waste, also we should learn to recycle, reuse, and reduce. That is another way that we can use to help the environment and the earth as large. So I really learned a lot from the master class this one. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Jennifer. Apologies to every other person raising their hands. We won't be able to take your contributions, but we are glad that you learned something and you are willing to share. All right, let's dive in straight into the session today. Facilitating the session today is Olayomade Adeyemo. I'll read his short bio, and so that you can just have an idea of the person taking the training. Olayomade Adeyemo is a diet lover and protector of nature, an environmental enthusiast, and the convener of Ibadan SDGs and Out. Aside from being a graduate of horticulture and landscape technology, he is an alumnus of Lagos Business School, where he bagged a certificate in non-profit management and leadership. Yomade, as he is fondly called, has close to a decade of experience in the development space with specialization in environmental management and climate adaptation, as well as championing the realization of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. He is the Southwest Coordinating Officer for the Nigerian Conservation Foundation, the foremost preserver of the environment, including fauna and flora in Lagos. Just like the organization he works for, he is a lover of nature. His hobbies include listening to music, watching, mentoring youths, traveling to see the world through his lenses and engaging in political discussion. His favorite quote is, "I want to see a world where people live and prosper in harmony with nature." With a rousing clap ovation, can we just welcome Olayomade Adeyemi to as he takes. Good morning, Olayomade. So good to have you join the session today. Please, you can have the floor.
Okay, yeah. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, please, I want to be sure if I'm audible, please.
Yes, please. You are.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here this morning, and I really want to appreciate the opportunity given to me this morning to be the speaker to talk on one of the topic that is really affecting the humanity this time around. So once again, my name is Adeyemi Olayomade, and this morning I'll be talking to us on forests and biodiversity conservation. During the time of the session I joined, I had the person anchoring the program asking people what they learned last week during the session, and to be sincere with you all, I am really, really happy about the feedback of what people learned. And during the course, I know that, okay, part of what I really want to teach today was have been discussed last week. So this time around, I want to tell us about things about biodiversity conservation, biodiversity management, and also forest management. So please permit me to share my screen. Okay. 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 So sorry, please. Can you all see it? Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yes, we can see you. We can see you.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much. So I'll be talking this morning on forest and biodiversity management. Well, to start with, I also studied forestry and wildlife, and let me just start by saying this. When I gained admission to study forestry and wildlife, at first I was like, well, that was the first time that I heard about the course or the field. You understand? So when I got during my 100 level days and 200 level days, I don't really have passion about the field. Do you get the point? But as time goes on, you understand. And by the time I have one of my lecturer who was my mentor then. So we had a lot of discussion about environment generally. So that was when I now sat down. I now talked to myself. I said, number one, there's a purpose for studying this course or for giving you this particular course to study in the university. You understand? And I really want to thank God that it was not a mistake. Everything was ordained by God. So this morning I'll be talking to us on forest and biodiversity management. So to start with, a forest is you can have different definition about forest. Do you get the point? So this is my own definition here. Definitely, if we are talking about forest, to a layman will tell you forest is a place where trees are planted or where we have different species, different sizes of trees. Do you get the point? To a layman. So now, a forest is a wood or in an area with high density of tree. It is an area with high density of tree, in the sense that where we have different species, different categories of tree planted. Mind you, they might be planted, and also there are some that are, there naturally. You understand? Though we are still going to talk about this one. So a forest referred to as a wood or woods in a particular area with high density of trees. So a forest is usually an area filled with trees, but any tall, densely packed area of vegetation may be considered as a forest. So anywhere where we have trees planted, either naturally or man-made, can be referred to as a forest. So tree forests cover approximately about 9.4% of the Earth's surface. True, the ones cover much more. So the estimation now, based on the correct estimation now, is that we have trees, they cover about 9.4% of the Earth's surface. But I would also like to talk about the percentage of the approximately percentage that the earth covered by the tree. Now, recently, we've been faced with a lot of, deforestation. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this percentage might not be up to this like before, due to, to a lot of human activities going on now inside the forest. So the function, and also a forest function as habitat for organisms. They also function as they constitute one of the most important aspects of biosphere. So, which means a forest constitutes about it serves as an habitat, as a place where organisms live, where they dwell. I don't want to talk much about this, but as time goes on, I'm going to talk about the issue of deforestation. Now, like I said, a forest is a place where we have a high density of trees, either planted naturally or artificially. Are we together? So now, I'm going to talk about the classification of forests. So we have different classification of forests. So forests can be classified in different ways and to different degrees of specialty. So one such way is in terms of the biomes in which they exist, combined with leaves, longevity, and also dominant species. Now, one of the classification of the forest is number one, we have the tropical forest. Tropical forest. So the many different types of forests are generally classified according to the location, number one. So you can classify a forest according to their location and also according to the climate of the particular region. So the first one we are going to talk about this morning is the tropical rainforest. We have the tropical rainforest, and if you have ever been to a rainforest, so definitely you're going to know that, okay, in a rainforest, you are going to see different species of trees of different family in there. Do you get the point? So we have tropical rainforest, we have the subtropical, we have the Mediterranean forest, we have the temperate, we have the conifers, we have the montane, and also we have the plantation forest. So now, talking about the classification forest. So forest comes in, like I said, in shapes and also in sizes. So the many different types of forests are generally classified according to the listed above, which are the tropical rainforests. So now, what is the essence of forests? Forests, forest. Uses of forest. A lot of people, they've abused the uses of forest, and that is why we have the national parks in Nigeria being managed by the federal government. And the essence of the national park is a national park is a protected area where we have trees, where we have animals, and also it also serves as an habitat for animals to live. But today, the other way around is the case, because today we have a lot of poachers that poach into the forest to carry out the human activities in terms of illegal felling. in terms of killing of animals. So now, one of the uses of forest is number one, fuel wood. A lot of people go into the forest for them to, search for wood. As we all know that wood is an important source of energy for cooking and eating. So a lot of people in the rural area, one of their major thing to cook is the search for wood, and one of the places they go is to the forest. Mind you, I said a national park is a protected area, but mind you, due to the porosity of the national park now, because most of the national parks in Nigeria are not really they are not really being guided by the forest guide. We have a lot of breaks, or a lot of fences, a lot of lapses, or a lot of opening that enters the forest. So a lot of people within that community at times they have their own routes where they go into to also source for wood for them to cook. Mind you, it is not that it is illegal. Do you get the point? Inside a park in a developed country, they'll tell you, okay, in this particular park, they are where you can carry out your activities, which is legal activities. They'll tell you, okay, from this place to that place, you cannot carry out your activities here. This is illegal. So anybody found within the illegal part of the forest probably might be caught. Do you get the point? So one of the uses of the forest is number one for food, for wood. The second one is we talked about for fencing, fences created with trees and shrubs used in many parts of the world. We have a lot of places, a lot of companies, a lot of places that I've visited that most of them they make use of wood as fence. You understand? And because I have been opportunity to visit some national parks in Nigeria. Like let me talk about Okomu National Park. Okomu National Park is in Edo State, in Okomu town. Now, at the entrance of the national park, there is a big gate there. A big gate just to signify, to show people that, okay, this is the main entrance to the national park of Okomu in Edo State. But mind you, once you enter, you are going to know that, okay, this place is really porous because a lot of entrances are there, a lot of places whereby people can go in through and also they can also come out through. So another thing is that one of the uses of forest is soil erosion check. The roots bind the soil and prevent erosion by wind or water. So you can also a forest also serves as to check erosion. So apart from that, it also serves as a soil improvements. Some trees have the ability to return nitrogen to the soil through root decomposition of fallen tree. The thing is that one of the things is that any fallen tree that turns to brown, they serve as a nutrient. So what we do is that anytime we are on the field, we also scout for brown leaves of trees because they serve as nitrogen. What we do with them is that anytime we find them, then we're going to put them at the base of any seedling or any new tree or seedling planted. Because if there's no availability for for water, or if the weather of the place is too harsh, then those decomposed or those brown leaves falling from the tree they're going to serve as a covering for the roots. So another thing is that it also serves as oxygen necessary for living beings. As we all know, most of us here who are scientists today, they'll tell us when we're in school that time that, okay, we breathe in oxygen and what we breathe, and we give it back, carbon dioxide. That's what I do tell people, that a world without a tree, to me, is nothing. Because if we don't have trees around us, so it means we probably won't be able to live. Do you get the point? So one of the uses of forests also is that they serve as oxygen, they serve as foods. We have a lot of fruit trees in the forest, not for only human beings, also for animals. A lot of animals too, they are also in the forest where they reside, their habitat. They also scout for food, you understand? And also, it is also a natural habitat for wildlife. Like I said, it is also a natural habitat for wildlife. So a natural home for animals to live. So now let's just imagine now that, okay, if deforestation is going on in a particular forest, let us imagine how many animals are going to lose their habitats. At that particular point, some of these animals will be trying to escape for their life, trying to look for another place or another habitat for them to live. During the process, definitely some of them might be killed during the process. You understand? So forest is also a natural home for animals to live. A lot of animals in the forest. A lot of talking about animals like at Omo Forest Reserve, the one out of the States, very close to me here. So inside Omo Forest Reserve, we have a particular project going on there, known as we have an elephant sanctuary there, because if you go to Omo Forest Reserve, we have some African elephants inside Omo Forest Reserve. Though at the moment now, African elephants on the IUCN list are on what's it called? They are on they are threatened. So which means if care is not taken, they probably might go into extinction. Do you get the point? Because inside of Forest Reserve too, a lot of deforestation is taking place. If you go there today, you see a lot of activities, cutting down of trees, going in day and out, carrying of logs of wood out of the forest to the city. So all these things are the things that are really affecting the human beings and also affecting the animals. So let's talk about the benefits of forest. Number one, they produce oxygen and also absorb carbon dioxide. So that's one of the key points of the benefit of forest. So they give us oxygen and we give them what? Carbon dioxide. So they also moderate temperature and rainfall. So lastly, they also provide food, they provide medicine, they provide shelter as well. Exactly. So we have a lot of we have some trees in the forest that also serve as food to eat, and also 80% of trees in the forest or trees are medicinal. Yes, most of the time, I want you to really have a look at this. Most of the time, you go to the pharmacy that you're having maybe you are feeling somehow. Always try to check the leaflet of the drug given to you, the composition. You are going to see one it will be written in botanical name. You are going to see one of the tree as one of the composition of that particular drug. So they also serve as medicine. And also we have a lot of trees, like there's this particular tree known as dongoyaro. Dongoyaro, that's a common name, but scientifically it's known as Azadirachta indica. Azadirachta indica, the bark of Azadirachta indica, it is very medicinal. The bark, they'll tell you, mix some things with the bark of the Azadirachta indica, it works for malaria. Talking about the leaves and also the seed. So we have like 80% of trees in the forest that are medicinal. So now we won't talk about forest. So we need to talk about destruction. Like I said, a lot of destruction are now going on within our forests. Like there are some pictures on my presentation on the slides. As you can see, look at the logs of wood that have been cut off. As some of those pictures too, you should be able to see some standing trees as well. So now forests have probably been subject to anthropogenic destruction. Anthropogenic destruction in terms of human activities or deforestation since the earliest days of the Homo sapiens and its predecessor species. Now, talking about the forest destruction, it is not. It has been in existence since, but the rate at which forest is being destroyed is not like that of today. Do you get the point? Now, when you're talking about conservation doesn't mean that you should not cut down trees. Do you get the point? The point is just that trees must be cut down in a sustainable way. So which means anytime that you go into the forest, all those sawmillers, you understand, there's no point you cutting down trees that are not up to maturity. Do you get the point? Because if you go to the national parks or even to the state parks, a lot of illegal activities are really going on. You see some people in there they will go in there with their machines to cut down trees. Mind you, they won't go in there, so it must probably have they must have gone through some of the staff of either the state national park or the national or the national parks to carry out their illegal activities. You understand? So forest destruction have been in existence since, but the rate at which forest is being destroyed is at alarming rates now. So the initial need for fuel, the initial need for fuel wood and construction materials continue to increase as population expanded and as industrial construction, discovery of mineral resources in the forested area, and eventually roadways and highways, and new and successfully large settlements increased the demand of forest products. Now, let's talk about this now. Now, at the long run, they'll tell you, okay, a particular mineral resource or resource has been discovered in a particular forest. So definitely, if they want to access that particular that mineral resource, so it means they will need to, destroy part of the forest, if not all. Do you get the point? So they will need to destroy some part of the forest, if not all. And if they tell you, okay, they want to do a circular route, maybe from one place to another, and they'll tell you, okay, one of the routes is going to go through the forest. So definitely, at the point whereby the road construction is being done, so they are going to carry out some destruction, cutting down trees. So, and there are a lot of consequences of deforestation. One of them is that one of the immediate effects of deforestation is accelerated soil erosion. People don't know this. The more we keep cutting down trees, the more we expose ourselves. You understand? And I'm going to talk about there's a recent incident that happened in Ibadan, in Oyo State. There's a particular forest in Oyo State known as Agodi Forest. For those of us that are very conversant with Ibadan very well, Agodi Gardens, we have an Agodi Garden in front. Agodi Garden is sitting on a 60 hectares of land. 60 hectares of land. But during the time of the former governor of the state, 8 hectares was converted to, was turned to a tourist center. That is Agodi Garden. So, and we now have about 52 hectares left. Though, according to what I read online, and also according to the map or the old this I saw, there are plans also to establish or to have some chalets within Agodi Garden. But a governor now came recently and said, okay, he wants to turn the old forest to an estate. A lot of people in the States, were not happy that time. A lot of environmentalists stood up. They went on air, they went online to go against the wish of the government. But mind you, I visited the point. I visited that forest myself. On getting there, trees that have been dead are over 50 to 70 years have been cut down. So it was they cut those trees down, and after cutting them down, they now want to turn that place to a particular estate. Why am I saying all this? The topography of that particular forest, that Agodi forest, there was an incident that happened 1980 plus. They talked about the Agodi flood. A lot of people living on that axis. A lot of incidents happened. A lot of people died. A lot of houses were destroyed. A lot of property were destroyed because, as at that time, most of those trees in there were not mature enough. But now, most of those trees now are now matured, and at the moment that I'm speaking to you now, those trees have been destroyed. So, which means there is tendency of another flood coming up again. but it might not be very soon because a lot of destruction have been done inside the forest, inside the Agodi forest. So what I'm trying to say is that destruction of forests have a lot of consequences, which is number one is the immediate effect of deforestation, which leads to soil erosion, and also another one is that the tropical rainforest destruction is a long-term impact on global climate. Now, everybody's talking about climate change, climate this, climate that. So one of the major effects that leads to climate change is deforestation. We keep cutting trees day by day. So now, what are the measures that we can put in place to conserve forests? We have a lot of work. We have a lot of work to do. I personally, you as well, we have a lot of work to do in conserving forests because we should also serve as an agent of change to the environment. The first one is that we should avoid deforestation. Let's do more of tree planting. You know, anytime a tree is being cut down, we need to replace them with 3 to 5 trees at that point. But are we doing that in this part of this part of the world? It is no. So we need to avoid deforestation, that is cutting down of trees. Like I said the other time, that the rate at which trees are being cut down now, it is at an alarming rate. It happens day by day. So the second one is by reducing pollution, also by not practicing overgrazing, if necessary, rotational grazing can also be adopted. So plant trees on hillside and abandoned lands. Cut only matured or damaged tree, like I said. You understand? Talking about conservation, it doesn't mean that we should not cut down trees, but trees must be cut down in a sustainable way. If you go to the forest now, the only trees that you can cut down is the matured ones. But if our people should just enter the forest, they'll cut whether a tree is mature or not. Everything will just go at once. So we should also replant to ensure future supplies. But we don't think of that. Once we cut down trees, then that's the end. We even do not think of anything like the future supplies of trees. Do you get the point? So now, what can we do to now preserve our forests? We have a lot of things that we can do to preserve our forests. The first thing is we need to share information, join organization like what we are doing now. You understand? One of the things that SDSN is doing now is also to educate people about tree planting, about the environment. You understand? And I know it's not going to end here. It's not going to end by you. So also after this, I know you're still going to talk to people around you about this as well. So we need to share information about this, and also we need to join organizations. And also we need to reduce the use of artificial items. We need to practice more of recycle and more of reused items. So there is a funny way to remember the most important point in the forest preservation called trees, which means I'm going to tell you the full meaning of that: TREES. The first T stands for teach others about the importance of environment and how we can save rainforest. That's what the T stands for. The R stands for restore damaged ecosystem by planting trees on land where forests have been cut down. The third E stands for encourage people to live in a way that does not hurt the environment. Then the last E stands for establish parks to protect rainforest and wildlife support companies that operate in a way that minimize the environment. So these are parts of the ways that we can preserve the forest. Now, like I do tell people that we must not leave everything to the government. I have a role to play, you have a role to play. Our forefathers were kind to humanity enough. But this our generation, we are not really kind to humanity. It's like we want to destroy everything so that the generation coming after us won't even come and meet anything. And all this deforestation, cutting down of trees, a lot of human activities, anthropogenic activities going on in the forest, they are really affecting us. Now, on IUCN lists, we have a lot of birds, a lot of animals have gone into extinction due to the human activities going on within and outside the forest. So I have a role to play. You have a role to play. So now I'll be talking now on biodiversity. We won't talk about forests without not mentioning biodiversity. Biodiversity, the terms, let me just do the introduction because of my time. So the term biodiversity was first coined by W.G. Rosen in 1986. So the biosphere comprises of a complex collection of innumerable organisms known as biodiversity, which constitutes of vital life support for survival of human race. Biological diversity, abbreviated as biodiversity, represents the sum total of various life forms, such as the fungi, the protozoa, the bacteria, the multicellular organism, such as the plant, the fishes, the mammals, in various biological levels, including the habitat and ecosystem. So now, what do we understand by biodiversity? Biodiversity, according to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 1992, biodiversity is defined as the variability among living organisms from all sources, including the inter alia, the terrestrial, the marine, and other aquatic ecosystem and ecological complex, which the area parts, this include the diversity within the species, between species and the ecosystem. So now, we have different types of biodiversity. We have the diversity in species, diversity in ecosystem, and also the diversity in gene. So what are the distributions of biodiversity? The first thing is talk about the flora and fauna. The flora stands for plants, and the fauna stands for animals. So flora and fauna diversity depends on the climate, it depends on the altitude, depends on the presence of other species, and also it depends on the soil, and most of the biodiversity concentrated in the tropical region. So what are the benefits of biodiversity? So we have different benefits. We have the consumptive value, and also we have the non-consumptive. So I'll talk about the consumptive. The first one is it serves as food or drink. The second one is that it serves as fuel, medicine, the industrial materials. We've talked about all this when we're talking about the forest. The non-consumptive is, number one, it serves as an education and research. A lot of people go into a forest to carry out their research work, and also to carry out some educational research. And most of this place to serve as a traditional value. Some people will tell you they are going into a forest for forest beating. What does forest beating means? A lot of people, they go into the forest to receive inspiration, in terms of probably if you want to carry out the project, or maybe you want to do something, you just go in there. They want to receive that feelings. They want to have a forest beat, because by the time, most of the time, anytime I visit the forest too, the whole mindset change. You understand? Then that's when you begin to think of a lot of things that okay, I should be able to do it this way. So a lot of people too go there for traditional value, and mind you, traditionally, they will tell you there are some forests that you can't just enter. That okay, that they need to carry out some traditional rites before you could be able to enter some forests. So we have some of those forests in some community. Do you get the point? That if you are not indigenous of that part of that community, you won't be able to enter. So they will need to carry out some. So these are part of the benefit of biodiversity. So benefit of biodiversity is to continue. So we have the ecological services as well. So biodiversity balances nature, biological productivity, the regulation of climate, degradation of waste, the cleaning of air and water, cycling of nutrients, control of potential pests and diseases causing species, the detoxification of soil and sediment, then stabilization of land against erosion, and maintenance of soil fertilities. So these are all the benefits of biodiversity. Like I said, we have the consumptive value, we have the non-consumptive, and also we have the ecological services. So I have more benefits under the ecological services than the consumptive and the non-consumptive. So now we've talked about biodiversity now. So what are the threats to biodiversity? We have a lot of threats to biodiversity. We have the anthropogenic causes caused by human beings, and also we have the natural causes. So let me start from let's talk about the natural causes first. We talked about the natural disasters. We tell you, a lot of things like, I think in Australia, that was the last 2 years, I guess, that we have some wildfire, you understand? So in this particular forest in Australia, so the forest just caught fire on its own. So that is a natural disaster, you understand? And I think something of sort too happened in Brazil, I guess. It also happened in Brazil. So natural disaster could also be is also one of the threats to biodiversity. We have the narrow geographical area. You understand? Very narrow, because a lot of people, as long as people are moving into a particular place, so definitely there will be destruction. They will be tampering with biodiversity, the diversity of the place. You understand? And during that process, like I said, a lot of animals are going to lose their home. So talking about the low pollution and also the low breeding rates. So now the anthropogenic causes, the causes that cause the human causes of threat to biodiversity. I have more here. I have the habitat modification, the overexploitation of selected species. They'll tell you, okay, there's a particular, okay, like last 2 years, there's a particular tree known as rosewood. Rosewood is also known as national plant. That year, we were looking for rosewood everywhere. Could not find rosewood because they've done a lot of exploitation in the forests, cutting down of more of this rosewood. So now, at the moment, now we are just trying to raise more of the seedlings so that we have enough. You understand? So that is where the overexploitation of selected species comes in. Talking about the innovation by exotic species. Now, I do tell people, one of the things is that anytime we go for any tree planting or any program, I preach more of indigenous species than exotic species. You understand? Because we should do more planting on our own indigenous species than exotic. So now, pollution. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, audible.
Okay, yeah. Please, I want to be sure if I'm audible, please.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you very. Oh yeah, thank you very much. So, talking about the threats to biodiversity. So I'm talking on the anthropogenic causes by humans. So talking about the pollution is also part of it, and also hunting in the sense that that go into the forest, kill animal, and the more they are killing this animal, most of them are going into extinction gradually. Do you get the point? So, and also global warming and climate change is also part of the anthropogenic activities. And talking about agriculture, though we want to have more food, we want our farmers to go into the forest to plant. But the more they plant is that most of them they destroy some of our forests. So now let's talk about the recent issues on biodiversity. The first one is that some 75% of genetic diversity of crop plants being lost in recently. So some scientists estimate that as many as 3 species per hour are going extinct. So roughly 20 extinctions occur per year. So in every 2 hours, based on the research being carried out, that every 3 hours, so we have 3 species, either plants or animal, going into extinction. So then if you calculate this one now, so we have, so it means that in a year, we have over 20,000 of extinction that occurs every year. So roughly 1/3 of the world coral reef system have been destroyed or highly degraded. So because of my time, now let's talk about the conservation of biodiversity. How can how can you also come in to save the forest? How can you also come in to save the biodiversity? Number one, we have the first one is the biodiversity inventory. So we should all talking about the conservation, conserving biodiversity in protected habitats. Protected habitats in the sense that now recently, I think government added like 7 to 8 national parks to the existing ones. The question I asked then was that the existing parks, what have they done about them? Because a lot of activities, anthropogenic activities are going on inside the existing parks. Then government are now added a new parks to the existing ones. You understand? So what is going to be the benefit of the existing parks to, I mean, the benefit of the new parks to the existing ones? So now, so we need to conserve anything protected area. We need to conserve biodiversity in the protected area. So talking about the national parks, talking about some state forests, because in Nigeria, Ogun State has they have the number highest of forests in Nigeria. Yes, they have talking about Omo Forest, Lokonogi Forest. Inside Omo Forest, they have J4, they have J3, they have J2. So and this forest, they are with land, a huge amount of land mass. So we can also practice in situ conservation and ex situ. In situ means conservation within. Ex situ means the conservation, outside. So, and part of what we can do is also like now talking about the seed bank, the gene bank, the pollen bank, the DNA bank, and also the restoration of biodiversity, impacting environmental education. So this is one of the key things that we can also do. We should also serve as an advocate of the environment. We should also serve as someone who is going to advocate on the issue of environment. Like I was in a meeting recently when we talked about the issue that happened in Agodi, the Agodi Garden. So now, the thing is, as an environmentalist, do you get the point? A lot of people at the aims of affair of our political affairs, they don't even care about the environment. And that's why when they comes in, then they will tell you they want to destroy this place, they want to convert it to an estate. We can also venture or go into politics. So by the time we are into politics as well, then we also be part of the policy maker that won't be at the detriment of the environment. Do you get the point? So we need to also do more of education. Like one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is I go to schools to establish school conservation club. And the essence of the school conservation club is to catch them young from primary schools, secondary schools, so that by the time the pupils or the student get to the university, most of all the thing about the biodiversity, forestry won't be new to them. So it is also what you can do as well. So you need to educate, impacting the environmental education, and also enacting, strengthening, and enforcing environmental legislation. Now, talking about the legislation aspects, in my state, I know the state honorable who is in charge of the environment. You understand? But one of the things is just that most of these people they are power driven. By the time they get into power, a lot of things would change about them. Do you get the point? So we need to be involved in the legislative aspect, and that's why I said, see, politics is not really meant for people, people with money. Notwithstanding, we can also go into it. By the time if we have a political appointment, then from there we can effect our own local change. So also we have the population control and reviewing the agricultural practices, and also talking about the controlling of urbanization. A lot of people, they want to move down to the city, and the more people moving down to the city, they want to erect their own buildings as well. And during that process as well, definitely a lot of destruction will be done to the forest, and a lot of habitats, a lot of homes for wildlife will be destroyed. So lastly, the concluding aspects: biodiversity is our life. If biodiversity got lost at the rates, then in the near future, the survival of human beings will be threatened. So it is our moral duty to conserve biodiversity as well as our environment. Long-term maintenance of species and their management requires cooperative effort across the entire landscape. Biodiversity should be dealt with at a scale of habitat or ecosystem rather at species level. So before I come to an end, so I would also implore us that let us be a change. Let us start from where we are. Let us join different organizations that preaches about environmental sustainability. These are part of the thing we can do to also save the environment. These are part of the people we can do, of the things we can do to also educate people. Do you get the point? And see, Nigerians, as we are not daft. I'm telling you the fact. The thing is that if you go for like an environmental awareness, talking to some farmers, they will let you know that, okay, and they are looking for what to eat. But mind you, we are not telling them not to go into the forest again and to pick their wood to cook or any other thing. But there are some sustainable ways of doing that. Like we did a particular project in a particular community in Calabar, where we introduced to them a stove that was made in a sustainable way, instead of them going into the forests and cutting trees day by day. So I have a role to play. You have a role to play. So let us be an agent of change, and also we should not leave everything for government. So thank you very much for listening. So I'm open for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Olayomade. That was such an insightful session, and I trust that a lot of actors on this call have learned a lot, and they are so grateful for the time they have shared with them. So please, if you have questions, you can raise your hand, and I'll ask you some notes and ask your questions. But if you are not willing to speak, you may also use the Q&A session. Just drop your questions there, and we'll have it addressed. So whichever works for you. I think I can see and someone raising. Okay, Azan, you have a question. Please unmute and ask your question. Azan, you can go ahead with your question. All right. If Azan is not ready to ask his question, Wina, you can ask your question. Wina, unmute the mic and ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Okay, sorry, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate this wonderful session. I really learned a lot, and I want to say thank you for this lecture. But then I have a question, and the question is about the relation between driving a sustainable energy picture and the conservation of wildlife and forestry. Okay, coming from this angle, you know about this energy source that is the biomass, all right, where we need part of the plants, animals, okay, majorly plants actually, to actually generate energy, all right, using trees and some other things for fuel, all right, and other ways we can use the biomass to actually generate energy. So looking at this, in a bid to actually balance these two up, we are trying to sustain forestry and wildlife resources in Nigeria. And at the same time, assuming we want to harness the biomass potentials, because Nigeria is very rich in biomass, all right, how can we balance these two? That's my question, sir. Thank you. Hello. Sorry, did you guys hear me?
Yes, I'm sure people heard what you said. Yes. Yes, you were audible. Has your question been responded to? Winner? Oh, not yet. Olayomade is still here. All right, so maybe we'll just go ahead. We'll take the questions together. Okay. Olayomade, please let me know if you are able to speak. Olayomade, are you able to speak now? So I think it must it's possible he's having some network issues. Okay, Winner, you can use the chat to drop your questions. And because of our time is fast spent, I'll take the indulgence of Olayomade. Kindly drop your LinkedIn account on the chat so that people can reach out to you, and your email. Just please drop the way people can reach out to you directly, so that when they have more questions, they can reach you to answer their questions. We are so beyond the time. So please just do that for us, and I know that our actors will reach out to you. Oh, apologies. You're having some network issues from your end. Apologies. We all experience it. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. We don't mind your LinkedIn account as well. so that they can just follow on LinkedIn, connect with you, and we can take these conversations beyond here and now. Thank you so much, Olayomade, for coming to share. We are so grateful on behalf of the leadership of United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Nigeria. We sincerely appreciate you for taking out time from your busy schedule to come and do this with us today. We do not take it for granted, and we are sincerely appreciative of your contributions towards social impact, towards achieving the SDGs. Thank you so much. We are most grateful. That brings us to the end of this particular session. Our next facilitator is already waiting, so that you can also comment to this session. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Thank you for coming. I believe it has really worth your time. I believe it has really worth your time. Okay, yes. Just wanted to confirm if I'm still seeing our facilitator on this call. Let me do the honors of introducing our next speaker. All right. I just want to be sure I'm audible. Can you all hear me? Am I audible enough? I'm waiting for your comments. Just type yes so that I can carry on. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Our next facilitator is Ayomide Arowosegbe. Ayomide Arowosegbe is an experienced project manager with a demonstrated history of working in the waste management industry. Skilled in communications, problem solving, writing, and program management. Strong sustainability professional, keenly interested in maximizing waste through circular processes, pursuing a master's degree focused on environmental sustainability, and seeking opportunities in waste management and circular economy. With a loud clap, can we just welcome on board Ayomide Arowosegbe as he takes the stage. I can't see us welcoming him. Let's welcome our facilitator. Okay. Yes, I think you can unmute and speak to us.
Awesome. Hello,
Yes.
hello, everyone. Thank you so
Good to
much,
see you.
Joseph, for... Okay. Hello, can everyone hear me? Can everyone hear me very clearly?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph, for the introduction, and I'm very excited to be here this morning. Thanks to the leadership of the United Nations SDSN Nigeria, Mr. Emmanuel, and every other person. Thank you so much. As Joseph has introduced, my name is Ayomide, and the topic I have before me today is pollution and waste management. So can everyone see my screen, if that's fine? Can we all see my screen? Let me know in the chat. Okay, good. Okay, so the topic I have to discuss or to share with us this morning is pollution and waste management. But before we go ahead, a little bit about me. So I'm currently in the United States. I'm doing a master's program in environmental sustainability at the O'Neill School of Indiana University. And as you can see on board, my passion and interest are top in waste management and circular economy. But I'm also passionate about social impact because where everything actually started from was social impact. So I founded the Clean and Healthier Nature Initiative. So I'm from Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian. So in 2018, I started with an initiative called Cleaner and Healthier Nature. And in the past 4 years, I've also worked for top Nigerian recycling companies before I came to the United States. So some of my work have been part of recovering up to like 600 metric tons of plastic waste in Nigeria. And previously, about 2 years ago, I was also part of a program in the United States called the Earth Core International Program. So I would recommend that program. You can look it up on Google or just check it online. I would recommend that program for any one of you interested in conservation or nature and stuff like that. So the topic we have before us today is quite broad, and it's something that is very, very, very interactive. What we can see, and I like to be practical with whatever I discuss. So looking at pollution, there are so many concepts, there are so many data, there are so many things you can talk about pollution. The person that just spoke is a good friend of mine, is my Oga, Mr. Olayomade. So as much as possible, I would like our session to be very interactive and engaging. So we'll be using a platform today called Menti. So if you want to go to menti.com, I'm not sure it can take everybody, maybe like 50 or something, but let's just try. So if you want to go to menti.com and enter the code 6438437, then we can use that to engage because I have some questions that I would like us to, put out there. Then we can see everything all together. So that's part of how we're gonna engage and interact this morning. So my first question, why are you here? So please go to Menti. I'd like us to go to Menti. So I'll be switching between my PowerPoint and the Menti platform. So please let me know if you're on Menti. Just go to Menti and use this code. So when you're on Menti, just answer this question. Why are you here? So I'll go to my Menti now. I'll stop sharing this. Then I'll go to share this. Okay, let me just share this. Right. Okay. How many of us are on Menti? How many of us have been able to join Menti? You can do that on your phone, on your iPad, or your computer. Just menti.com. So I'd like to know why some of us are here or some of us are joining. Okay, let me put the code. Let me put up the code. The code is 6438437. 6438437. 6438437. I hope that works for today's presentation, but if not, we'll just go ahead with another way. Hello, is that working for everyone? Please unmute feedback so that we don't waste too much of time. Yeah. Just type your answers in the boxes on Menti. So if you go to Menti, you see, oh, network is slow. Oh, sorry. Okay. Maybe to save time, we'll just go with other flows. But I actually want this to be very, very interactive and be graphical. Oh my God, there was a problem logging into the presentation. Oh, okay, 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 okay. We're in Nigeria. Okay, okay, yeah, I see 3 responses. Cool. Yeah, to save the heart, to save the environment, to live in a healthy environment, to learn SDG. Can we all see this? Can we all see the screen? Okay, okay,
Yes.
nice. Okay, good. To make a good difference. Okay. Yeah, find an impactful project. Okay. To save the environment, find an impactful project, learn more about climate. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let me take a few more before we move on. 9 responses. Okay. 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 Awesome, 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 awesome. Okay. Climate to make the world, save the environment, to save the earth, to save the environment, to make healthy environment, to make a good difference. Awesome. Yeah. To live in a healthy environment. I'm here to learn about change impacts in Nigeria, climate to change the world. Yeah, I'm just going to hide this. Okay. 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 19 responses. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone that responded. So let me go back to my PowerPoint slides now. Okay. So nice. It's good to learn about why everyone is here. So like I said, today's session or my session will be very, very engaging and interactive. So get ready to type, get ready to unmute. So this next session or this next part of my presentation, they are icebreaker questions. So today we are talking about pollution and waste management, but how do we get to waste? How does something become waste? How, what's the process? So now I would like 2 volunteers from everyone. I would like, because of time, I would just take 2 volunteers. I would have loved to have more people, but I'll just take 2 volunteers from everyone here to answer these questions. So if you would like to volunteer to answer these questions, just kindly unmute and let's answer these questions. So if you'd like to volunteer to answer these questions, just unmute. So when was the last time you went for shopping? What did you buy? Why did you buy it? Just unmute if you want to answer the question. I see some hands raised, so just unmute. I don't know. Does the host need to unmute some people or give some people permission to unmute?
Yes. So
Okay,
no
please,
hands
please,
raised,
please,
okay.
please give them permission to. Uh, hello.
Hello.
Okay,
Good
thank you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Good afternoon. The last time I went to shopping was yesterday morning. So
Yesterday
I bought
morning. Sorry,
rice.
what's your
Yes,
name? Can you tell us your name and where
Shamsuddin
you're?
Ahmad Idris from Jigawa.
Shamsuddin from Jigawa.
Ahmad
Okay.
Idris from Jigawa, yes. So yesterday
Awesome.
morning I went to Sahad store.
Okay.
I bought rice and milk and sugar again.
You bought rice, milk, and sugar.
Milk and
Okay.
sugar, yes, yes.
Okay. So why did you buy what you bought? Why did you buy rice, milk, and sugar? Or what informed your choice?
They are my choice because they are my need by of yesterday. And so I
Okay.
needed to buy them to live, honestly.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. I like that. You needed to buy them to leave.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. So what happened after using that product or material? So was there any remnants? Was there any remains, or was there any packaging? What happened after using that, the milk or the sugar?
No, after using the milk and the sugar, I felt comfortable. I relaxed that yes, at least I am back to life
Okay,
because I
so
needed it actually.
so what happened to the wrap of sugar or the wrap of rice or the wrap of milk? Was there any wrap, or you just bought the raw, or you just carried the the milk like that, the liquid milk?
No. I prepare it with what I need to use it. Like the milk, I use it for tea while I
Okay.
cook the rice.
Okay, so let me be direct with this. So did you generate any waste or from the
Uh,
packaging after using that?
I know I have generated like 2 to 3 waste.
So what happened to the waste that you generated? Where did you put it?
The first one I packaged it into the waste bin, and
Okay.
while cooking the rice, I know I generated all these carbon dioxide because I use
Okay.
stove.
Okay. So let's go to the
Yes.
last question because of time. So do
All
you
right.
think these questions that are before you that I'm asking you, do they think they really matter in your choice or your decision of buying whatever? Do you think they are very important to consider?
There might be because
They
sometimes
might
I go there to buy. Yes.
like
So
the
for not seeing me for like 2 to 3 days, I'm sure they must be buzzed.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Shamsuddin.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sulaiman. Sorry. Thank you
Shamsuddin,
so much.
Shamsuddin.
Shamsuddin,
Yes.
okay, thank you, Shamsuddin. I'll
Yes.
take one more person because of our time.
All right, sir.
To answer these questions, then we'll move on. So any other person that would like to volunteer to tell us um when last you went shopping, what you bought, any other person?
So someone
Hello, can you
Hi,
hear me?
I can hear you.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay,
So, my name is Samuel Onidara from Abuja. The
okay, this
last
is
time I went
Samuel.
shopping,
Yeah,
the last time I went shopping was on Monday.
on
What
Monday.
I bought, yeah, what I bought was a packet of dispensable water,
Okay,
bottled water,
okay,
and I bought some things like refillable Milo milk and things like that.
okay, okay.
And why did I buy it?
Yeah.
I bought it because I needed to restock on some of the things that were going low in my house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what influenced my choice. And what
Okay.
happened after the materials I bought
Yeah.
were I disposed of the nylon sachets of the Milo and the milk. There is a
Okay.
company called Copata that comes up to pick up plastics and nylon bags. So I packed them up in they recycle it, they use it to create they recycle the plastic to use to create artworks and things like that. So
Okay.
I kept it for them. They usually
Okay.
pick up on Saturday. So it's still in
Okay.
my house waiting for them to pick up.
Okay. So do you think these questions do you think they really matter to you in your choice of goods and services?
It depends on whoever is asking a question. It could matter based on the person's perspective. If he needs my opinion on
Okay.
what goods and services to buy. But
Okay.
other than that, I don't think so.
Awesome. Thank you, Shamsuddin. Thank you, Samuel. I appreciate your feedback. So I have your responses here with me. So now let's go back again to Menti. So just pardon me, I would have to be switching from one platform to platform. Yeah, because as much as possible, I want to make this very engaging and interactive. So now let's go back to Menti. Now, talked about this. So what is pollution? I believe a good number of us should have gotten on the menti.com now. So today we are talking about pollution and waste management. Remember where we started? Like this is a journey now. I'm taking us on a journey. We are here. Most of us are here. This is why most of us are here. Want to show us? Most of us are here to make impact, to learn about SDGs, to find an impactful project, healthy living, and we just talk about something practical about our life. So now, what do you think is pollution? So let's go back to Menti again. I hope can you see my Menti screen? What is pollution? So if you can see, just respond. Yeah. The code again is 6438437. So what would you say, what would you say is pollution to be? Don't forget, Shamsuddin went yesterday morning to buy rice, milk, and sugar. He needs to eat, right? Samuel needed to refill water and so many other things. So he needed to restock. Okay, someone said it's global warming. Someone says it's weather and climate. Someone says it's deforestation, introducing unwanted waste, contamination of environs. Okay. Yeah, more. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Yeah. I know there are network issues, so I will just be patient to have more responses. Yeah. So what would you say pollution is actually? Actually, there was a video how I actually planned to share at first, but I changed my mind. Has anyone been in a room where someone just messed up the hair? Have you, if you have been in that room, can you give me a sign? Can you give me maybe an emoji of maybe you were in your sitting room or in a vehicle or in a class and someone just messes up the hair, Yoruba will say to be sorry to use it, the person oh yeah so or the person farted or the person messed or so just giving us some ideas of what pollution sounds like or what pollution looks like. So okay, let's go back to um what this is. Okay. Okay, we have nine responses now. Waste that turns to be contamination of environments, release of harmful substances, global warming. I'll take two more, then I'll proceed with the, the session or the slides. Awesome. Unwanted substances, waste that turns to be, yeah, introducing unwanted waste, unwanted substances, harmful products, release of substances, contaminants. Okay, okay, okay. All right, I'll go back to the PowerPoint again. So now, so I define pollution to be the introduction of harmful materials into the environment. Yes, someone mentioned pollutants. So these harmful materials are called pollutants. Pollutants can be natural, such as volcanic ash. They can be created by human activity. I heard Mr. Olayomade talking about anthropogenic activities, which means human activities such as trash or runoff produced by factories. These pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. So taking it back to the example that I shared, the very, very practical one that can get everyone angry easily. So when you are in a room, let's say you come in a room and the room has its normal ambience, and someone, because of nature, they just release some gases into the atmosphere and it kind of distorts or actually that might not be harmful to that environment, but at that point it's unwanted. You want a clean hair, you want a fresh hair, you want an ambience and stuff like that. So now looking at this, how does this look to you? Or what would you say this is? Anyone, what does this look like to you? What does this what does this speak? Does it speak any language or anything to you? What would you say this is? What would you say this is? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, nice. Okay, awesome. A dung hill, an eyesore, a dump site. Okay, a plastic waste product. Okay, okay, okay. Wasted. This is a landfill, waste product. Okay. Any other person? Everyone is saying negative. It can cause land pollution. What else? Refuse dump. Is anybody saying money in this thing? Is anybody, do you see, is anybody saying, someone is saying wealth, there's a way to look at a cup, half full or half empty, like they say, domestic waste. Okay, okay. Yes, so big money. Yes, I can see money, but utilizing it to manure. Okay. Where is the money here? Okay. Oh, okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. Any other person? Which side? Doesn't look like money to me. Okay. Okay. Awesome. So now let's go back to Menti. Let's go back to Menti. Um, so let's go back to Menti and talk about what waste is. Okay. So what is waste? What would you say? What would you say waste is? What is waste? What is waste? Oh, somebody said circular economy. Yes, if recycled, it can be money. Okay, so what is waste? Please, let's go back to Menti. I want to encourage us to be, very, very engaging and um, interactive with this. So I want your hands working, your mind working. We are environmentalists. We want to make change. We want to make change. We want to make impact. So we have to always think and work. Okay, someone says unrecyclable garbage. Okay, I like that. Unrecyclable garbage. Okay, any other thing? Product or substance which is no longer suited for its intended use. Anything that is no longer in use. Okay, okay. Any other response? Yeah, I want more responses on Menti so that we can all see and share. We are going somewhere. Don't forget where we started. We started with questions from Shamsuddin and Samuel. What they bought. Okay. I think we just have only one person here. So more responses, more responses. Don't get tired. I know you've had a lecture earlier. Unwanted materials. Unwanted materials. What else? What else? Can't be reused. Okay. 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 Let me go back because of time. Let me go back to PowerPoint. Okay, so everyone almost captured those things that you mentioned. So we've got sorry. So we've got unwanted or unusable material, discarded after primary use, worthless material, defective of no use, materials that are no longer useful, an item that is typically thrown away. Now, we talked about pollution. Definitely after Shamsuddin and Samuel, after they got whatever they needed to buy to satisfy their own needs, to help them still live as humans, to go about their daily activities, they had to consume some of this thing that is consumption. And it led to something that probably they don't need anymore. And they had to get rid of that. So the process of getting rid of that will eventually go somewhere or end somewhere, which practically should not be the original place, should not be the right, habitat for those materials. So what do we do? I always think about this. I always ask these questions. Now, this is nature. Mr. Alaya Madi just talked about nature, deforestation and stuff like that. And this is man. So as much as we want nature to survive, and as much as we also want ourselves as humans to survive. So let's say Samuel needs to drink water and he needs to get that particular water in a container. Shamsuddin needs to get rice, milk, or sugar. it has to come in some way, in some packaging. And definitely after using that material, after buying that, waste is generated. And would we say, oh, because um, we want nature to exist, we want this to happen, do we deny ourselves? That's the question I'm posing to everyone now. Do we deny ourselves of, some needs or some human needs? And that is why I like sustainability. That is why we think about sustainability, which helps us to think about having a balance. How do we ensure that? Because I must tell you, as far as human existence will continue, that's why I love the nature of waste management. As much as human exist, there will always be a reason to generate waste. And so, talking about waste, we mentioned all of this. And looking at waste in Nigeria, um, so Nigeria generates over 32 million tons of waste annually. That is even though we compare to the US, you know. So 0.51 kilogram of waste generated daily per person, and majority still ends up in the landfill. And still, we have, even before I left Nigeria, I remember we have quite a lot of wastepreneurs, waste entrepreneurs are in the waste management space, but still, only a tiny fraction of, the waste is still recycled. So before I left Nigeria, these were some of my work in my initiative, clan initiative, and some of the businesses I did, and some of the companies that I worked for back in Nigeria. So, like I said earlier, as far as human existence happens and continues, there will always be a cause of generating waste. Because when you look at the components of an economy, there are three components of an economy. There's production, there's trade, there's consumption. I am always happy to start with like icebreaker questions to make this type of topics to make it real and practical. Sometimes we talk about pollution and it looks like it's just something up there or something very scientific. Yes, there's a scientific part of this, but it's more real and practical than we can even ever think about it. Now, Shamsuddin bought rice, milk and sugar. Samuel bought water. So those things didn't just appear by magic. Those things were produced from somewhere, and that is the part of production. And Shamsuddin and Samuel, they had to go somewhere to buy. Where they bought it from, those people had to like get it from the producer. Then they became probably the wholesaler or the retailer. And Shamsuddin and Samuel, they needed to consume those things. And that is consumption. So production, trade, and consumption. And this is leading us to now, at the end of production, trade, and consumption, even from production, there's already waste generated. But now let's look at post-consumer waste. And this leads us to talk about, linear economy versus circular economy. Don't forget how we started. The topic is pollution and waste management. And now we are bringing it, or we are making it practical and real to, we are all change makers, we are all impact makers. And I like change that starts with me. So I like to, teach what I practice, so not just, it has to start with you. Then when it starts with you, people living around you, your friends, your colleagues, your classmates, your co-workers, they're able to see that, and that starts informing their change, informing how to do things differently. So now we talked about three components of an economy, which is production, trade, and consumption. And now here is linear economy and circular economy. So thinking about using Shamsuddin and Samuel, who are on this call as the case study. So the linear economy talks about the take, the make, the use, and dispose. And the circular economy talks about the make, use, collect, transform, and reuse. And actually, this is nothing against Shamsuddin and Samuel. From the example that Shamsuddin and Samuel just shared, I think Shamsuddin is, let's put Shamsuddin on the left side. We put Samuel on the right side, because Samuel just told us that he bought whatever he bought and he keeps it for Echo Butter. Am I correct? Did you say Echo Butter? You mentioned a company that comes to, take and get those things after he has used them. So how do we come in between pollution and waste management? Because I don't just want to come and give you terms or give you terminologies. I think one of the reasons, and that's why I asked the first question, one of the reasons why you have come to be a part of this program is to make change or make impact. I think a few responses talked about impact. So the reality is that waste will continue to still be generated. But as much as these waste are generated, we don't want it causing pollution. Now, how do we kind of come and be creative in such a way? And that's why I like to talk about the concept of circular economy. So how do we ensure that whatever is taken, whatever is made, whatever is used, after disposal, how do we ensure that it comes back to life? So that talks about cradle to cradle, when you give birth to something, it becomes a raw material. So this looks like this is my first slide. This is the landfill. That means after it was taken, it was made, it was used, and everything comes back here. And how do we ensure that even this is still a little bit fair? Some people just throw it in the ocean, some people throw it just anywhere, some people throw it on the road, some people they don't even care about where all this heads. So now how do we become conscious? And that's why I asked at first, what did you buy? And do you think these questions really matter to you? So when it starts with us, when we start thinking about, okay, this material that I'm purchasing, this thing that I'm using, this thing that I'm getting, how do I incorporate or inculcate thinking about circular economy into it? So what is actually a circular economy? Just like I always talk about circle. So different shapes or different they call it shapes. You have square, you have triangle, you have circle. So let's look at circle, a round circle. Yeah. So just like this. This was made, this was used. Then after it was used, it was collected somewhere, put together somewhere. Why? For the purpose of being transformed, reused. So it's a systemic improvement of the current linear economic model, which takes raw materials from earth, makes product from them, much of which end up in the landfill. That is linear economy. You make those products, you use them, and everything ends back on the landfill. Now, this picture of mine is quite an old picture. I think it was in 2019. So it's one of the TLS in Lagos, transloading stations in Lagos. So everything just comes, from people's houses. Then they have to put it here before they now send it to the landfill. But here is circular economy based on three principles: eliminate waste, circulate products and materials, regenerate nature. And that's why I'm happy to come after Mr. Olayomade, because this is kind of unshaking what it just finished. So it's always very good and amazing to talk about planting trees and doing all of those things, reducing carbon emission. But now we need to live, we need to exist, we need to survive, we need to eat, we need to wear clothing, we need to use mobile phones. Development will still be taking place, but how do we kind of come in balance to ensure that our development, our advancement, getting new Apple watches or eating or whatever we need to do does not, affect the ecosystem. So now, again, this is another part of circular economy that talks about extraction, manufacturing, you recover it, then reuse, energy recovery. So someone was asking about energy recovery the other time. So everything still comes back to the whole concept of circular economy. Because when I got this topic, pollution and waste management, I was like, talking about pollution, there are even different forms of pollution. Is it air pollution I want to talk about today? Is it land pollution? Is it water pollution? Or, so many things. But now, waste management is now right before it. And how do we bring something practical, something that we can all think about to create, to change things, to turn things around out of today's session? So that is circular economy for you. So normally the linear economy, after waste is generated, we create or we lead to pollution at the end of the day. But here is circular economy. Even though practically we might not be able to say we are leading to zero waste. We are saying, yeah, we want zero waste gradually. We are gradually getting there. But circular economy helps to bring, waste to a very good minimum value or minimal value, where we can also take materials. And that leads to the question of the person that what is the money here? How do we see money here? What's the money here? So, and when I saw this like about a year or 2 years ago, I've known about photosynthesis from maybe elementary school or primary school, but I never thought about circular economy in the natural process. So because of time, I won't ask anyone to unmute again, but even nature itself, finds a way to incorporate and see what circular economy is. So we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide that we breathe out is something that, as you can see, that's what plants need. And the oxygen that we need as men to survive, it comes from plants. So everything just goes around like that, circularly, 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 circularly. So, having as little as or as minimum of waste, needing to pollution as much as possible helps that kind of balance in nature, essentially. So you could see photosynthesis, oxygen, glucose, from plants. This is an animal, and this could also be man, leading to cellular respiration, and we breathe out carbon dioxide, which plants need for their own existence also. So now I have a video, a kind of a short video that talks about circular economy that kind of gives a perspective or a kind of picture of what circular economy is and how we can start rethinking progress gradually. So I'll play it for us to see. Let me see. I need to share my audio. Let me see if I can share my audio. Share some. Yeah. Okay.
Be around for many more. In the living world, there's no landfill. Instead, materials flow. One species' waste is another's food. Energy is provided by the sun. Things grow, then die, and nutrients return to the soil safely. And it works. Yet as humans, we've adopted a linear approach. We take, we make, and we dispose. A new phone comes out, so we ditch the old one. Our washing machine packs up, so we buy another. Each time we do this, we're eating into a finite supply of resources and often producing toxic waste. It simply can't work long term. So what can? If we accept that the living world's cyclical model works, can we change our way of thinking so that we too operate a circular economy? Let's start with the biological cycle. How can our waste build capital rather than reduce it? By rethinking and redesigning products and components, and the packaging they come in, we can create safe and compostable materials that help grow more stuff. As they say in the movies, no resources have been lost in the making of this material. So what about the washing machines, mobile phones, fridges? We know they don't biodegrade. Here, we're talking about another sort of rethink, a way to cycle valuable metals, polymers, and alloys so they maintain their quality and continue to be useful beyond the shelf life of individual products. What if the goods of today became the resources of tomorrow? It makes commercial sense. Instead of the throw away and replace culture we've become used to, we'd adopt a return and renew one, where products and components are designed to be disassembled and regenerated. One solution may be to rethink the way we view ownership. What if we never actually owned our technologies? We simply licensed them from the manufacturers. Now, let's put these two cycles together. Imagine if we could design products to come back to their makers, their technical materials being reused and their biological parts increasing agricultural value. And imagine that these products are made and transported using renewable energy. Here we have a model that builds prosperity long term. And the good news is, there are already companies out there who are beginning to adopt this way of working. But the circular economy isn't about one manufacturer changing one product. It's about all the interconnecting companies that form our infrastructure and economy coming together. It's about energy. It's about rethinking the operating system itself. We have a fantastic opportunity to open new perspectives and new horizons. Instead of remaining trapped in the frustrations of the present, with creativity and innovation, we really can rethink and redesign our future.
Awesome. So, what stood out to you in this video or in this session? What what uh, what stood out to you? Can you put it in the chat box? What do you think? What what stood out to you? Um, were we able to hear the sound from the video? Were we able to see the graphics and everything? So what stood out to you? I think we just use the chat box now because of network. So what stood out to you? What stood out to you from the video that you just watched? So if you can unmute, just put it. If you can unmute. But if you can, just put it in the chat box. So let's talk. The process of photosynthesis, awesome. So anyone else? Return and renewal. Okay. Return and renewal. Anything else? This is a class, so I am expecting this to be very, very, very interactive. If I'm your lecturer or if I'm the class coordinator, I'll be taking attendance with. So today's class, if I'm to give a score, the score will be based on everyone that responds. So if you don't respond, that means you are not here. So yeah, so I'll be reading so Chizobam says the process of photosynthesis. Let me start. Okay. Abdullah says return and renewal. Zachariah says rethink and redesign our future. What came to mind first was recycling. Everything can be reused, renewal, recycling. All the resources we are fighting for are finite. Mm. The linear economy method of human waste and resources. What stood out for me is the fact that nature itself practices circular process, renewable energy. Rethinking is recycling. Interconnectivity is key. Stop the attitude of use and dispose. You can reuse the using of renewable energy, recycling, waste can be renewed, use and reuse, recycling, green and renewable energy recycling. Yeah. More. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. For my session, if I'm going to give scores, these are the people that, yeah, recycling. I also noted that there's need for interconnection of producers in production, recycling, and repurpose. Thank you, Adiza. Okay. Anyone else? I'll take a few more. Even nature was designed to recycle itself, repairing spoiled devices instead of replacing. Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, so thinking about pollution and waste management. So we know that these two things, pollution and waste management, they don't just exist because they are there. They are because of some anthropogenic activities. They are because human needs to survive. We need to exist. We need to do stuff. We need to move on. We need to move from one place to another. So do you think, from what you've seen, do you think a circular economy can affect waste management and pollution? No, don't let me say waste management first. Can affect waste and pollution. Do you think a circular economy would have a kind of impact on waste management or waste and pollution? Do you think so? That's the next question. I would have loved to hear from people. Okay, let me hear from three people, please. Mr. Joseph. Oh, it's past 12 already. Okay. So, what time is this supposed to end so that I can start bringing my session to a close? What time is this supposed to end? Is it 12 noon or what time? Please, what time is it supposed to end, Mr. So that I'm conscious about time and mindful of everybody's time. Okay. Anyway, I'll move on to the next slide. So, what are the benefits of circular economy? So we talked about planets, profits, and people. So, how do we ensure that the planet is safe? How do we ensure that the people are fine? How do we ensure that Samuel and Shamsuddin, how do we ensure that both of them, Samuel needs water, Shamsuddin needs rice, milk, and sugar? How do we ensure that Samuel getting water and Shamsuddin taking rice, milk, and sugar still makes the planet better? And how do we ensure that the person that's or the company that
All right, so
produces the rice,
we can do like 10 more minutes for the session to end.
we can do for what? For presentation only? Hello? Did you say presentation only? Okay. So anyway, planets, profit, and people. So how do we ensure that everyone is fine? So talking about planets, this is how circular economy affects the planet.
Ayomide, we
Hi.
can take 10 more minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think I should take up to 10 minutes. So we have planet, profit, people. So how does it affect the planet? So the environment through biodiversity protection, reduced generation of waste, decrease in use of finite resources. Someone made a comment about finite resources and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And for profit, this will create economic benefits and opportunities such as job creation, extra income channels, and resource efficiency for businesses. So if you go online and check how people are trying to get plastics and recycling plastics into so many other things, and those are buying them, just like Samuel just shared now, there are different startups now in Nigeria that I know of that collect some of these materials that are recyclable, that buy them and give you some things for them. So, and benefits for people, we are healthier, we live in a healthier and cleaner environment. So going back to the chart, someone says a circular economy mitigates the effects of pollution and help maximizes waste renewal. Okay. Jonathan says absolutely. Circular economy could have a huge impact on waste management. The core idea of circular economy is that resources are used and reused rather than thrown away. This means that less waste would end up in landfills and more materials could be recycled or repurposed. It's a more sustainable way of doing things that will definitely have an impact. There are some challenges to implementing a circular economy, but it's definitely something we should be aiming for. Well, yeah, absolutely, sure. So that's that. So how do we promote a circular economy? So when we started the session, one of the questions I asked is, why are you here? Why have you come here? And I would like you to take so many things away from here, like practical steps that you want to do. And these are a few steps that you can start thinking of or looking at, even from your consumption choices. So these are few steps that we can start thinking about: refuse, rethink, reduce, reuse, recycle. So trying to reduce single-use materials, making the right choices of products, buying just what you need, cooking just what you need, and avoiding excess packaging that you might not need. So let me shake tables here. How many of us still go to ShopRite or even shops beside our houses and collect 3 plastic bags for one bread, or 2 plastic bags for so as impact makers, as those that have come here, I don't think you should live here. Yeah, I know sometimes it's very important for you to get a bag to carry whatever you need, but sometimes I see people do it excessively. taking too much, like, and we could start, making a difference in our community by having reusable bags. So you're going for shopping or you're going somewhere to get something, to buy something, you already have it designated, but that is how it starts. That is how it starts. So that is one of my call to action for you today. So get a reusable bag. Get a reusable bag for whatever you're going to buy, whatever you're going to do, and reduce excessive packaging as much as you can. So in that way, you are minimizing waste and you're minimizing pollution of whatever activity that you need to do or what you need to buy. And recycle, engage in recycling and composting activities. I'm sure there is a recycling association of Nigeria. I'm pretty sure that they are spread across most 36 states in Nigeria right now. So, but if not, you can just go online, go on Google and type Recycling Association of Nigeria. It's going to probably link you to their website. And when you get to their website, there should probably be a phone number and, call someone that say, please, I need a recycler in my area. Somebody will say, why all this stress? So that's part of why you are here. You're here to make that change and impact because, like I said, we need to buy some of these things. We need to use some of these things. And some people, it's not that they don't want to recycle. It's not that they don't want to, reduce or minimize waste. But after keeping them, sometimes they will say, okay, so what will happen to this? I've watched Ayomide talk about recycling. I've watched this person talk about minimizing waste and all of that. So what will I do if I keep it? So sometimes it's just about reaching out. And if you find a recycler or somebody that can collect those waste in your areas, you can be the town crier. You can be the amplifier of that message to everyone in your community. And that is my purpose. That is what I want to achieve with my presentation. You can find things about pollution anywhere online. You can find things about waste, but how do we now how do we become creative about some of these things? Some of us can make money from it. Some of us can make impact from, all of these things. And yeah, lastly, I think this wraps up the session. What will you do differently after today's session? What will you do differently after today's session before we go to questions and answers? So what will you do differently after today's session? Yeah, put it in the chat box. What are you going to do differently? This is a school and this is a learning session. So the purpose of teaching and learning is to bring about a desired change in behavior and action. So what are you going to do differently? Yeah, sure. I can send my slides to Mr. Joseph. Okay, somebody is saying, can diapers be recycled? Because we have flood of diapers waste in my community. So that would lead me, that's another topic, which is a kind of an area of interest for me now, and that is product design. We don't have much of time to kind of go into that now, because when you talk about the life cycle of materials, so it all even starts from the manufacturing of the product. So the way you will see that when Sprite, like if you check like 4 or 5 years ago, the bottle of Sprite used to be green in color. But because the market value of green bottles, some of us that are, into recycling a little bit, you know that when you get to a baling center, the clear and the blue, they will be on one side. The green bottles, they will be on another side. That's because the market value for green bottles, they are kind of low. So when Coca-Cola or when Pepsi, when they realize that the market value, even 7-Up, you will also notice that 7-Up used to be green, but now 7-Up bottle is changing to white. So because of that market value, they started changing the packaging. So the way producers also package and make some of these products determine the recyclability. If there is how recyclable those materials will be. So it starts not even with the consumer, it starts with the producers. And that is a kind of area of interest for me now, that how do we ensure that producers and manufacturers, they make circular economy plausible and possible. So kind of engaging some of these producers and manufacturers. So talking about diapers, how do we ensure that, okay, the making of diapers, a diaper becomes compostable because it contains carcass of waste. You can't take you can't take what has human excreta to somewhere else. It should be something, probably something that could be compostable. You can add back into the soil or stuff like that. So how do we involve or engage Procter and Gamble, P&G, and any other person that produces diaper or stuff like that to make that material recyclable and extend the life cycle of those materials? So yeah, so that would be the answer to that question. So please, this is the question and answer time. If you have questions, you can just share those questions now. You can either unmute. So if we still have time, I can take like 2 or 3 questions before I finally wrap up. So someone says here, Adenike, what I've been doing in the past is I don't throw my empty water bottle and pure water nylon around where it finishes. So my intention is to tell people to do same instead of throwing around. Yeah, yeah. And before I leave, I just want to say this. So this is a very, very amazing space to be. And don't rush about getting the results. So when you start and it looks like probably you are not getting the traction you need or stuff like that. I've been in this space for about 4 or 5 years. And sometimes, to people, it looks like, what is this guy's thing? But if you kind of stay on track and if you carve a niche or a particular space for yourself, the environmental or sustainability space is broad. So I would advise or suggest that you have a niche. You can be in energy and be in waste and be in climate change. While it is very important to have a knowledge about all of these things, but you can't say you want to be a master in renewable energy, you want to be a master in biodiversity. Mr. Olayomade is my organ when it comes to biodiversity and conservation. I give it for him. But I also have my area in terms of circular economy and those things. Some people are doing SDGs. So another thing I would say is to encourage everyone that is here. Maybe you've even started for like 3 or 4 years. You've stayed there as far as you are sure and you know that, yeah, this is what I want to do. Yeah, but it's also very important to have a niche that you're a master of. So yeah, that's another icing on the cake that I would put there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your for what you do differently. So someone is raising their hand. Please kindly unmute and ask your question. Yeah.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Ayomide Aro Segbe.
Don't worry, I'm just
Apologies if
calling
I called
you.
you wrong.
It's fine, it's fine.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentations. I'm actually glad to be part of these wonderful sessions, and I really learn
Thank
a
you.
lot when it comes to circular economy, and it's something very great and huge. So one other questions I wanted to ask is, when we look at issues around circular economy, when we look at some of our major companies, when we look at aspect of greenwashing and green economy, there are a lot of little bit propaganda regarding those key things. I used to ask myself before, when you look at the Coca-Cola bottle, at the back of Coca-Cola bottle, you will see that they are even indicating that you should dispose the Coca-Cola bottle appropriately. And in some of our locations, most especially in rural communities, there are no any dumping site provided either by the company or either by the government for appropriate dumping of this particular waste. So at some point, I look at it as aware of a little bit propaganda in how they are doing things. And I also look at the government. The government are not really doing good, quite a number of things or enough in seeing how they can change this particular issue of green economy and recycle economy, whereby most of our industrial sector and most of our locations are being used as a dumping site. So I don't know if there are any modalities or any other mechanisms we can use to engage those key stakeholders to see how we can hold them accountable in ensuring that we have a more sustainable and clean environment and clean ecosystem. This came to me when I was having a little bit campaign around climate justice issue, whereby you get to find a lot of things around issue of climate justice. When you speak around our climate justice issue, people in some of the communities are not even looking at the climate change as some of their major issue, looking at the current inflation rate. When you are speaking around climate change, somebody is thinking about food. So When will he even pay much attention to the cause you are trying to address or the concerns you are about to raise? So I think this is our key challenges we do face as young people. And I also think around how can I be able to come up with the idea of waste recycling, the idea of waste to wealth, waste to treasure, or waste to something whereby you can be able to create an employability for young people. But most at times we lack the resources. We lack the resources. We can get the beautiful ideas, but we lack the resources. So I don't know, since we have you here today on the board, you can be able to share some more light and give us a lot of encouragement and other guidance and support for us to know how we can be able to access some other resources for us to strengthen our capacity and ability for us to be able to be the soldiers of environment and protecting our environment at large. Thank you so much and over. Apologies for taking much of your time.
Oh no, no, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, thank you for your question. So you talked about the government and the ways to wealth. So I was actually going to start responding by talking about, you know, being creative and thinking about how to invent and change the narrative in the community in terms of the status quo, how to change the status quo. But one thing I want to believe, or one strategy I want to talk about or raise first, is using social media. Using social media, because talking about engaging, if you write letters, I'm in Nigeria. I've been in Nigeria. Talking about writing, I've wanted to do projects at some point that I write letters to local government and stuff like that. And sometimes at the end of the day, we won't even get the letter or the response from the local government, and we'll just go ahead with our project because we're still waiting and we're still expecting. And so sometimes most of our projects are self-funded or getting funds from outside. But I would say, and I would recommend, like, social media is a tool. There are so many other people that are doing dancing, doing skits, doing comedy, and they have blown. Let me use that word. They they blew. They made it, or they hammered using social media. You see a lot of content creators there. I think it's time, for us also, as and some change makers in the environmental space. They have been there, because talking about government, Nigeria is a different space, so I won't, I would want to be very practical and talk about reality. I won't say, okay, probably this is how they do it in America and bring it there. But social media gives us visibility to both international, local, and national people. And some of these stakeholders, some of these people in government, that gives them the opportunity to see. So that is the key. That is one tool that I would suggest. So put your work out there, get on LinkedIn, get on Instagram, get on Twitter, start talking about, if you need to promote, or if you need to, you can use it. And some of these governors, commissioners, and special assistants, they are all on LinkedIn, they are all on Instagram. So if you want to get professional and reach more people, get on LinkedIn. You just need to send a connection and post something. That is one way I would recommend or suggest to get that visibility, to get someone to talk to. Then they can listen to you, then they can talk to you, engage you, because writing letters, I want to be as real as and as practical as possible. You might really wait for long, sending a letter to the government house in Abuja, or maybe secretariat, and expecting government, because they have lots on their tables, and this is Nigeria. We know how things work. So that is one tool that I would really recommend. And another thing I would say is find connections, associations, youth clusters that have some of this information, that give you visibility to conferences, to meetings, to places abroad. And I know the third thing I would mention, so don't forget social media, join associations, clusters, teams. And the third thing I would mention is mentorship could be a little bit tricky, but some of these people that have gone ahead of you, reach out to them, just for a session, or just for, you can just reach out to people and ask them for how they went about it. So I hope those three things will work, because I don't want to give you theories that I know would not work, but those three things, try them. Yeah, use social media and find communities of youths that are doing something internationally and reach out to those that have gone ahead. Tell them about your work and what you're doing. So I believe those three things would make a difference. I hope those would help. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions before we leave? Okay. Okay, how did I get to meet these companies
Can
that I
anyone
work
hear me,
with?
please?
Yeah, how did I get to meet this company that I work with in Nigeria? So, like I said, social media worked for me quite well, I would say. Yeah, so right now I'm a bit not very active again, except for LinkedIn. So, but like about 3-4 years ago, I was really, because of school and some other projects that I'm working on here, I was really, really very, very active on social media platforms. Even some of my friends, my American friends here, they wonder how I have many connections on LinkedIn, and I smile that, oh, you guys, you don't know when I started doing all of this thing on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's why I said go out there, put your work out there, talk. Yeah, there's a time that you have to make noise. You're not just making empty noise, you're just letting people know what you're doing. So yeah, be mindful of everyone's time. I think I have to pause here. If you have any other question, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It might take a while to get a response from me, but I will definitely respond. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, UNSASN, for having me. I hope I didn't bore you. I hope you found and you learned one thing or the other from today's session. Thank you so much.
Can you talk? Yeah, I can hear you. I said one of our team member will join us soon. Will join us soon.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Joseph. Yeah. Yeah, let me just see if there are any other questions that I can respond to. Hello, can anyone still hear me? Hello. Oh. Hello, Joseph, are you there? Okay, please, if you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat box, and while we wait for Joseph, I can respond to those questions that you may have. Yeah, if people can earn money doing environment recycling, I think we will achieve results faster. Yeah, that's very correct. So the monetary value, thinking about the monetary value of recyclables is also very important. And I think that's why the Recycling Association of Nigeria, they've been trying their best. At least I know a few, some of them that are fighting and trying to ensure that there's value in waste. Let's see how okay, tell us some challenges you face in Nigeria promoting waste management system. Okay, so now, yeah, I have
A lot
that
of
opportunity.
questions, a lot of questions.
Okay.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
So I've had issues with network and I'm glad
sorry
I'm
about
back
that.
now. We are beyond we are behind schedule. This meeting should have been over.
Wow.
So please, you can share your LinkedIn account with them so that they can ask whatever question it is they want to ask. Our actors are very, very energetic and inquisitive
Yeah,
people.
it's
So
just
they will
Ayomide.
definitely bombard you with questions, right? And please, I'm sure you'll respond to them as well. I'm sure you
Oh
will.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right,
Just
thank
my
you so much.
thank you for having me. Thank you for the
Yes,
opportunity.
yes,
Yeah.
we are glad to associate with you. On behalf of the leadership of United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Nigeria, we want to really appreciate you for doing this with us. And we know that next time we call upon you, we will definitely answer us. Thank you very much. We are glad to have you. And you've been of great support to the work we are doing here. And we are
Thank you. Thank you so much.
yes, I noticed that if both of us have been having issues with attendance, it's the network that is the source of challenge. Please just ensure that within the next 30 minutes, you're able to register your own, you're able to submit your attendance because it is important that you submit attendance. All right, thank you guys. We'll meet again next week for another session of the masterclass. And